the cinder block and, you know, government issue.
So he ran for Congress
Again.
So we do children's program.
Hey, that's you.
Kids. And
Close that. So I don't see Chris.
She said I'm gonna have to do something there, so.
if you said it.
Little bit of-
In order to.
Parting comment.
We'll read it being recorded. We'll
But
talk about
However, Sunday is free.
Got it?
yeah,
it. So
I
you and I are here.
Yes.
But
this time.
we booked to hear somebody.
Yeah. That's, oh, right. You want to have a Zoom? Let's do one. Maybe she found it.
Well, it's a new link. She needs to look at her current email. Or forward her the current, because we're on a different account.
Okay.
This year.
Did you say somebody's on?
No, I heard a bing, but it was your phone.
Right.
And
Was it?
Then I don't. So can you send her, or should I from my tablet?
I can forward the email, right?
Yeah, just say it's not the previous link.
So you know anybody.
Oh, no. So, greetings, if anyone is watching on YouTube, we're gonna start the meeting in a couple of minutes. Haven't called it to order yet.
And that's for UNNC. UNNC there. Planning and zoning, environmental committee.
That's it. That's the meeting the mailship, right?
No, so what do I search for? It's just
UNNC.
UNNC. So it says.
There it is.
This, oh, is it one of these?
Yeah, because it's also environmental. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna start the meeting in 3 minutes. We can keep chatting.
What happened?
You can't chat away for 3 minutes.
Oh, that's right. No, I. So,
All right, send it to Christy, Marius and Dan Hagel.
Oh, damn, we haven't seen in so long,
Nice.
but. Okay. So, what I have to share is basically is that letter that a lot of organizations did shoot about the budget, but also a screenshot of how to, and we'll talk about it, how to make your own personal comments if you want to
Fantastic.
on the budget.
Okay, good. Yeah, I actually printed it all out. It's called something, drop the ball. It's called something when you drop the ball like that. And did it and then I forgot to bring it.
Yeah, well, I have. It just shares. Okay. 103, got 2 more minutes. Then
I
we'll
wonder
have
how many people knew this.
well, it said so. I mean,
But I didn't read it. I didn't read it because I
right.
never checked time. I just always.
But Marius knows about this meeting because he was on finance. So talked about what we're doing at this. So. It'll be a very fast meeting if no one wants to done.
Then we can, do we not have quorum then?
We have quorum.
Okay.
Quorum is you.
Okay. I am very excited, although. I will look for bulk.
Mhm.
And so 400 was it, and I went to Target.
And they have
Target,
compostable.
do, and they have 400 10-inch round plates for 30 cents each. Which turns out to be 118.
That's right.
Yeah, if you go down to 6-inch rounds, 66.50, much that is, but I discounted that we don't want 6-inch.
No, we don't.
Then there's 9-inch, which might allow people to watch their waistlines, and that's 23 cents each, $93 for
9 inches is good.
9-inch. Yeah, I would vote for 9-inch. And then there are compostable forks, 288 or 15 cents each. same as spoons.
Oh,
And there are compostable, they look like plastic, but it's corn or something. No, but it looks like plastic. And it's 20 cents a piece, they're compostable,
they are what?
20 cents a piece.
No, what are they? They are cups?
Yeah, they're
You didn't say the word cup.
16 ounce cups, 16 ounce, so they're like the.
Oh, that's huge.
So
16 ounce. Cause the water bottles are,
16 ounces, right?
right, and mugs are eight to 12.
Well, I had 16 ounce and they were 400 for $81, 20 cents each.
Okay.
So I was,
Oh, it's 7:06. You know, I think. In the interest of time, should we?
start.
Yeah, I guess. So Christy said she was coming. Text her and just say, are you coming? That's I mean, we can be highly efficient.
In Toastmasters, we would ask for the joke of the day. And the word of the day. But I didn't bring a joke or a word.
That's okay. You know, the word is budget. That's the word of the day.
Hope.
Oh, there's that.
Hope.
Yeah. American, US hope, that's 2 words.
First. We haven't
Yeah.
had that many cardinal sounds.
Ugh. All right, we just need to do this.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to the UNNC Environmental Committee meeting of May. Calling this meeting to order, and let's look at the agenda. We are going to have action today. I'm very excited. So if there's anybody who would like to join this meeting and give us public comment.
Well, first, let's introduce ourselves.
Oh, well, okay.
Like yourself.
Doesn't here.
I
Yeah.
know that. I see that, but we ought to do it anyway.
I'm Elizabeth Penner. I am the de facto president.
No, you're not de facto chair.
I'm chair of the committee, bolstered and buoyed by my friend Laura Myers.
Yes, hi, and I'm Laura Myers. I live in Angeles Vista. Elizabeth lives in the Avenues here where we're sitting, and I am the vice president of UNNC, and we hope there are people watching. This is the UNNC Environmental Committee meetings. Yes, what's that? And so I shared the screen with our agenda for tonight, and Elizabeth will run us through it.
So item 2, general public comment, and we have some visitors to the South Seas House that have just wandered by. Feel free to come join the meeting if you'd like. We're going to be less than an hour. We'll just talk about stuff, but
you don't
like,
have to either.
Yeah, so general public comment, 1 to 2 minutes each, please. The LUNC's report, that is to say the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, who is, I think, like 80 neighborhood councils strong with representatives who are devoted to sustainability, and they work in alliances connected to forward sustainability in Los Angeles, and they are focused on the budget
At the moment.
because there are cuts. There are significant cuts to sustainability efforts. That's
we'll get to.
Yeah, we'll get to. Okay, so 4 is a funding request. I am very excited that we are going to help make the board more green by adding compostable items to their meetings. 5 is round robin on current issues in sustainability and climate change, including planning, upcoming environmental committee agendas, and possible events. I would like to look at the year overall for us. And then 6, you want to take that?
Yeah, we have a couple of announcements, which we'll get to, but and if anybody, if you're watching, if there's any announcements from climate sustainability, related organizations, just be sure to email us at UNNC, president@UNNC.org, and we can put an announcement on the agenda in advance. I mean, we can always deal with it in general public comments, but we can also put it on the thing. So we'll have 2 announcements later on this evening. And there's always, like any public agenda, new business, old business, discussion, possible action. So that is our agenda for tonight. And we now have general public comments on any item. It's just Elizabeth and I here, so we're probably not making any general public comments, but on any item that's not on tonight's agenda. So is there any sustainable anything? Well, I will say, I do have an announcement. I mean, and at this point, it's probably a private-ish party, but Garden School Foundation
Yes, yes.
is celebrating its 20th anniversary
20.
this weekend.
Wow, how many schools are?
I
are
think they have
served?
13 schools now.
13 schools. I work in an elementary school on Manchester's LAUSD public school in Manchester and Western. And we are aching to have a garden school foundation there.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Have you asked?
I have not.
I mean, I don't know what they're, I mean, the problem, we'll get to it, but the problem is funding. Across America now, the problem is gonna be funding.
And I would
Certainly
say
in LA.
there has to be, the ground has to be rich for that, for that process. That means you say you would have to have principal, staff, teachers who are more or less willing, ready to take that on.
Well, I you know, we should
We're
invite the Garden School Foundation back. I mean, they come all, you know, they're on our thing, but to find out how they identify new schools.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they may or may not be in the market for identifying new schools right this second.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we can't know what the process is. Okay,
Thank you.
so, but anyway, they are celebrating their 20th year this weekend.
I am myself devastated by, this is public comment, devastated by the current federal executive administration gutting climate infrastructure at the federal level. So the EPA and now they're trying to cut California's ability to have all electric vehicle sales by 2035. Et cetera, in the news is something.
Well, they're even trying to stop a couple of cities from moving forward on their wind generators, which seems, why would you be even concerned about it?
Yeah, and with a party that was all about states' rights, it's contradictory at best. So I guess I'd just say that we would double down on local concerns, regional concerns, regional initiatives, and hold fast.
Okay, yeah. All right. The LANCSA, Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance's report earlier this week or last week, our city in crisis.
Real quick, Christy texted, I have a weird screen where I am in Zoom workplace and very little. I don't see anyone else.
Did she use the, just say, did you
Folks
use the
sign in?
new, did she use the new meeting link? Meeting link that Elizabeth just sent. Right. Right. As we are no longer at the old link.
Yeah, she said she did at the
Oh, the old link.
Can we invite her from here? Can we?
Well,
invite-
she can just log into Zoom and use that. Use the meeting ID. Yeah, just go to the Zoom, into zoom.us.
And use the meeting ID
Yeah, where it says join a meeting.
and password.
I don't think there's,
I think there usually is.
for some meeting, but I don't think we have a waiting.
I typed in Zoom US and this is what it did.
Okay. I can't leave and come back. This other device.
I thought you could invite me.
Well, I don't know how. Any more? But what would I be doing?
Then you type in her email.
Yeah, well, I don't see the word invite. Host tools. New.
Participants name? Invite.
Yes, but how do you
Just
invite?
try to come.
Oh,
Maybe
who are
you
these
search.
people?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are not,
Okay, so Christy,
oh, wait. Choose.
email.
Huh?
So,
I'm already in. I just go through it and they already know who I am. Did just say don't ask again on this device, but nonetheless. Probably isn't fun. So interesting.
check and see if Christy's back. She's there.
Cancel. Yeah. Okay, I'm signed in, and what about it?
So go to Zoom, go back to Zoom and see if Christy's there yet.
Well, I'm in a circle.
So go to default. Okay. Okay, so it's web. Christy,
Thanks. Thanks. All right. Let's see if that happens to work. So in the meantime,
that was last night's zoning meeting link. Oh, so there were two links.
oh,
So maybe she went to the.
right. Sit around.
Got it.
Maybe gotta sit
So she
around.
should be coming in now.
And she's
Yay.
met.
There you go. Christy Webb.
She's on mute. There you are.
Hi, great.
Hi.
Hi, Christy.
Hi, Laura.
Okay, so this is, sorry, we switched Zoom accounts forevermore. So all of the meetings now have new IDs. New meeting IDs, because we put all of them on the city enterprise account
Okay.
and canceled our,
Did you have
Private
any,
account.
did you have any public comment
oh, well, I've already,
before we moved on to item 3?
No, I'm
Okay.
still trying to figure out what's happening. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But anyway-
Right.
so
So
we're
this is-
on item 3 on the agenda. Do I need to repost the agenda? Because that's not posting right now.
Can we move on?
Go ahead.
This,
I have the agenda.
okay,
So we're on item 3.
now
Mhm.
is there action related to this?
Yeah, because So let me just explain. So essentially, the mayor's budget,
Mhm.
we are $1 billion in deficit. And that's not, it's not only not news because it's all over the news, but it's been a half a year in, knowing that we're gonna be. So she got, when in her budget, the mayor's budget, she gutted a lot of the climate related city departments. So that includes the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office. It includes within the planning department, the entire environmental justice and also the diversity departments.
Biodiversity,
No,
no diversity.
people diversity,
Okay.
but it was all kind of in the same sort of new section of planning. Everybody is laid off, will be laid off. I'm not sure what the biodiversity efforts are because there was no link. LA 100 is an effort from the Bureau of Engineering. And again, I'm not really sure. The budget guts the Office of the Petroleum Administrator, who is supposed to be overseeing oil drilling throughout LA City. And the trees, tree trimming and maintenance, which is, when I first bought my house 40 years ago, was once every 5 to 7 years, depending on the kind of trees. It's moved out to something like 17 or 18 years.
Wow.
Right, so obviously it would, that a tree won't survive 18 years with no maintenance.
Wait, this is city though, that's not DWP.
This is the city.
Okay, so they'll
This-
still go into my backyard and trim limbs away from the electrical.
Well, that would, one would think, but they're not gonna be trimming the street trees or watering or maintaining. And in fact, I read somewhere that they're, even though they're supposed to when they do a sidewalk repair, they're supposed to replace the trees 2 to 1. They're saying that they won't have budget to even replace the trees 1 to 1. And then I'm not sure what the transit and housing efforts are. So in any case, the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance and a bunch of other entities, and this is who they are, a bunch of other entities and more have signed on to and or created a letter to the city council itself saying that they oppose the draconian budget cuts and appreciate the financial situation, but nonetheless, they need to develop, they're just saying develop a budget that maintains the city's leadership on resiliency, sustainable, and an equitable city. So that, it was kind of ironic because within 2 days of the time the mayor announced the budget, she also made some announcements about how she's so pro the climate and earth, like Earth Month kind of things.
Yeah.
So she was being accused of being, what's that word? Hypocritical. So anyway, and especially the proposal to eliminate CEMO, because CEMO, Climate Emergency Mobilization Office, only represents about $700,000 in the whole budget anyway. And they had just gotten a grant for $750,000 that they might have to turn back because there will be no one there to administer the funds. So it just makes little to no sense because we'll be giving back the money. So plus,
We don't have.
Correct.
We can't move that to a different department or.
well, who would, well, I'm not sure because a department, when you get a grant, you can't say, oh, now we want planning department to manage. I mean, in other words, it's a CEMO grant. I mean, so I'm not sure. There's some discussion that maybe they could move it around, but they still need the knowledgeable person. And at the moment, they were laying everyone off. So who's the knowledgeable?
Everyone, Laura, everyone, you're saying. They laid
that-
everyone off in SEMO.
Well, because there'll be no CEMO. So keep in mind, when they talk about eliminating positions, that doesn't necessarily match up directly with people. So there's still seniority. So there
Mhm.
might be a young new hire who really does lose his or her job. But there may be a more senior person who loses his or her position, but migrates to a different position within the city. So
Mhm.
it's hard to know, so these are positions, not necessarily people. I mean,
Right,
there will be people who lose their jobs, but it may not be one to
but
one.
it's this whole department,
This whole department's going
office,
office.
SEMO.
Yeah, it's
office.
all going away, yes. It's part of the public works, so public works is not going away.
Mhm.
And the woman who has the job of the manager of SEMO may or may not be going away. They may
Right.
give her a job, so.
Sure.
And that's just one thing in the cuts.
Mhm.
So I'm sort of scrolling through this letter. Oh, yeah, so eliminating the LA River Coordinator position, which, doesn't affect us over here, but would affect Northeast LA. Northeast Trees lost on the federal side, already lost its funding on a big grant to plant trees. And the other monies come from the city, so it may, anyway, it's hard to know. It's just hard to know. So the thing is, UNNC is not in a position. With the way it works, we, the neighborhood council, would have to had voted on a position at our governing board in order to file a community impact statement. And the budget will have to be adopted. The city council's taking a week off, so they have had hearings and then we have a week off, and then they're gonna have to act within the month of May to accept the budget or change the budget, but the dollars won't change. I mean, they can't make money out of nothing. So the only thing I think any of us can do at this point is personally write letters of comment.
Yeah. Could you scroll up a teeny bit so I can see the other names? I at the beginning.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily recognize a lot of these, few I do. But Heal the Bay, Friends of Bayonne,
Friends of the Los Angeles River. Yeah.
right.
I saw her.
Well, the LA Neighborhood Land Trust, Lanet, they do a lot of work with the parks in our area. They run several parks here.
Which one?
Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust. They operate Richardson Family Park, Estrella Park, and they're the entity that just purchased the former oil field at Jefferson and Budlaw, and they're turning that into affordable housing and a park.
Okay.
So I mean, so these are like big names.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, I would agree.
So if it says, the public may still comment.
yes, the public may still comment. It's just
So that-
UNNC will not be able to.
Yeah, is there?
I'm gonna
link there?
stop the share here and show you guys how to do a comment.
Okay.
That's my next thing. So to comment. And you would want to write your little short essay before you log in. So there's essentially, let's see if I can.
Is there a website there?
Yeah, somewhere there is. Okay, so you log into this. I mean, this is an image, so I can't copy and paste. I can try typing it, but it's cityclerk.lacity.org / public comment
cityclerk.lacity.org
/ public comment / and I'll try and typing it into the chat.
And that will bring this form up for
Yes, it
comment.
will, but let me just do, again, I don't know if anybody's watching this on YouTube, so
Mhm.
or will watch it in the future on YouTube. /. Because it's not that easy to find this portal, to be honest. It took me just a little while myself
And
today.
it asks for a council file number.
Yes, and so I'm gonna show you what I did do. So what you see is when you log in there, first it asks your name. I just wrote in LA citizen, if that was my name. But you would write, you know, Laura Myers, Christy Webb, Tom Smith. And
Right,
then over to the right, you do have to put in an email. That's a fake email. There's no, well, there might be somebody saying lacitizen@gmail.com, but
Yeah.
I would not receive it. But they do, when you turn in a public comment, they do send a verification email, and you have to click to verify before they will actually post this comment.
right.
Right, so that's a verification thing. So I'm sorry to be scrolling back and forth.
No, that's all right.
So then you have to put the council file number.
Yeah,
And budget council file number is 25-0600. And just so you know, last year the council file was 24-0600. That's a permanent budget thing. And next year will be 26.
so this is all comments on the budget, not just specific to this particular elimination of
Comments
the
on the budget.
environmental items.
Well,
Is
you
it-
can write, yeah, you can write about anything you want.
Okay, but then
For
that
the
number,
budget,
that
anything
number
you want.
applies to the whole budget.
That number applies to the whole budget. This is not a specific budget item. The budget is hundreds, if not thousands of pages.
Yeah, no,
long.
I understand. I just,
Right.
it's not any
Right.
more specific than that. Okay.
Not at the moment.
But you'd have to just, in your comments, you could make clear what it
Yeah.
was you were.
You can make clear what you're writing about. Today, I am writing you today about. But you're also, you see the comments thing, you're limited to 5,000 characters plus spaces, which is one thing, better to write it down first in Microsoft Word, so you can use that software's function to keep track of how many
Yeah,
letters and spaces between words. So you see what I wrote. This is where you write your comments. You are limited to 5,000 characters plus spaces. And it's telling me I have 4,916 characters remaining, but
right.
it's characters and spaces. And then I have personally never had any luck whatsoever attaching a PDF document to my comments. Other people have had luck. I never have. So I try and very carefully write 5,000
Okay.
I mean, 5,000 is quite a bit.
Well,
You know, it's not
5,000
gonna read much
characters,
more than that.
characters, that's different than, well, it couldn't be words, characters, I don't know what that.
Well, no, but still, it's quite a bit considering the attention span of the
Right,
readers.
be succinct, we need to
Be
be
succinct, be succinct,
And
don't repeat
pointed.
yourself. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, write whatever you think in advance. And then also, in the end, it's not gonna show paragraphs. So
Right.
what a lot of people do is, write a short paragraph on, in your Word file, so you see what a paragraph is. But when you get here, what you're gonna do is like, at the end of the paragraph, just do 3 spaces, do an asterisk, do a bullet point.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just to show if you want to. And they don't show italics. You can use an uppercase, but they won't show boldface. So, it's a very much plain text thing.
Is
So
your,
anyway,
is that letter that we just looked at available on
it's in our agenda packet.
the agenda packet? Okay.
Yes, in the agenda packet. And then in order to submit this, you have to click on I am not a robot.
Mhm.
And sometimes
Right.
it's gonna bring up the stupid thing with bridges or motorcycles or
Yeah.
staircases. Sometimes
I
it
got it.
won't. And then you hit submit. And then what happens after you submit is that it will do the verification email and tell you how to do that. And then after that, voila, it's there. So it will take 24 to 36 hours before it's actually posted to the council file.
Okay.
And there, people are commenting, but it could be about anything. So that, we're here tonight about this environmental, but
Right.
there are so many other.
I'm
serious
sure,
questions.
yeah, I'm sure nobody else is writing these public comments
But they
about the
are.
budget.
They are.
Yeah.
I did a little checkout, but I'm saying.
Yeah.
One of the proposals was to really slash animal services, and it would have
Right.
resulted in 3 out of the 6 shelters being closed. That's
Yeah.
seeming off the table. They have found money for.
I read about that, yeah, in the time.
No, wait, look at page 1012. It's in a footnote, but nonetheless, they found the money. The planning department is being slashed by 190 positions.
Out of,
500. I mean, it's a huge
yeah.
cut. And the Office of Historic Resources, which is pertinent.
There goes
Here.
the Mills End.
Well, that's not the Mills Act, they're not gonna get any more staffing. But what really it is they're gonna reduce the HPOZ staff to a total of 8 people. And there's 31 or 32 HPOZs. So they're trying to figure out how they're even gonna hold the public community meetings.
Oh, my.
Because the way they hold them, not just the HPOZ staff member, but an IT person comes in person. And I already have personally talked to some of the senior people and said, you need to rely more on your own HPOZ board members. Because
Right.
if you're doing hybrid, you should be attending hybrid and just train the HPOZ board members to do what we're doing. Right, run their meetings. You don't need to be so controlling. I mean, you should attend, but you don't need to have 2 people. Anyway,
So
but
I'd
all
like
the
to move on
departments.
very quickly,
Yeah,
but right, so I'm gonna write a letter, I'm gonna submit a comment. My comment is going to be that I have followed Karen Bass for a long time. And I trust her judgment, and believe a budget crisis is a budget crisis. That said, I think climate and sustainability is everyone in every department's responsibility. So I'm sorry that there isn't the support of its own department, but if it has to be cut, I think measures can be taken that are low cost, that trains people at every department in Los Angeles, in every office, to lower their carbon footprint, to do whatever they can to.
right.
So that's my comment, what my comment
Right,
is.
except for that they also are laying off all the positions in the planning department related to environment.
Although hopefully the momentum towards
I mean, in other words, that,
sustainability has started.
right, but if there's nobody at the planning department to put in place the rest of the measures for.
Well, and you say
because
nobody, but
because-
what
well,
you mean is fewer people.
Well, I mean, we're digressing a little, but not a lot. So remember that the planning department has 2 sides, more or less. They have a policy side. And they have a case
Implementation.
case processing.
Okay.
Somebody applies to build something and it has to clear the planning department. So the policy side includes the ideas and the implementation of the ideas. But on the case processing side, it's some developer says, here's my proposal.
Oh, thank you. Are you new to the neighborhood?
No, I've never in the neighborhood.
Yeah. This building.
Okay, cool.
All right, bye.
So for example, at the planning, one of our policies, broadly speaking, is like, you build a new housing project, you have to plant trees. And it's in fact to plant 1 tree for every 4 units, pretty much. And you also, if you're taking out trees, have to replace them 2 to 1. And there, there's a ratio, so that's great. But then there's the reality on the ground of most of the proposed housing projects are being built all the way out to the edges with no setbacks, so there's no place to plant the trees. So without planners who are familiar with the importance of canopy to climate change, they're not gonna blink an eye at these waiver requests. So, and I mean, so for example, there's a proposal Figaro and Flower, or, you know, in that area. And it's gonna be a huge project with hundreds of units covering almost, you know, half of those square block. You know, goes through to Figaro and then mostly on Flowers next to the freeway. And they pretty much have written, there's currently 23 trees, we're retaining 2. We will not be able to plant any other trees, but the tree planting requirement, depending on how you do the math for that particular project on a policy basis, is somewhere between 80 and 95 trees. So who's gonna be left standing to you know, to say this is important policy? So that's the problem, because the case processing planners don't do policy. So that's where it becomes an
and let me just tell
interesting
you that-
concept.
Absolutely. And you need to have people who are cognizant, who value that, and that are also, to me, in my opinion, they're also flexible.
Mhm.
I was taking a bus down Western, and I look at those storefronts, and those store owners don't want a tree in front of their store because it obscures their
Their
thing.
signage.
But then on some streets, not all of them, some streets, you turn and you look down the avenue toward the houses, where there's just houses, and there's beautiful tree canopy.
Right.
Right along Western, like at 54th Street. And then, but it's not every street, that's not every street. So could we be flexible and say, yes, you need to plant 48 trees
Right.
to take out the 23 that you're taking out, but you can have those trees and you plant
Yes.
them.
Well,
in the
that's
neighborhood.
and that's what I'm trying to say. The planners who do the case processing are not the planners who have the big. I mean, they might be, but their job doesn't have the big outside the box dreamy ideas.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't be sufficient to just plant those trees.
The water them,
Exactly.
yes.
And
Right.
and
Or a fine.
and the fund that, you know, they can do it in lieu, but that is for tree planting but not watering. So I'm saying there's all kind, and this is
And
just
it's a
one
low
example.
cost. Yeah.
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
just one example of what's, you know, going on in the city. So. You know, I mean, in this case of the particular project that I've been using as a symbol, it's gonna need an environmental impact report already.
Mhm.
So that one might end up being one of the exceptions because it may, because of the higher level of review and scrutiny, it may end up having these kind of requirements. But the most projects we're looking at these days are a little bit smaller. They fit a state legislation mode and they're just getting the waivers.
Okay.
So that's what's, you know, that's kind of the issue. But anyway, so I know what you're gonna write. Can't really tell you what to write. I don't know what you're gonna write, and that's okay. I don't know what I'm gonna write because that's a small little, you know, in other words, I don't think we really have the right to write over and over and over again either. So
From the same email address, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay. All right, do we have an email list of people that are on the sustainability, or are UNC? Will we send them all an email inviting them to send a comment?
Yeah, but I mean, that list has gotten smaller and smaller because.
Yeah.
You know, like Dan hasn't shown up. So, I mean, I think part of what you need to do as we look forward is to re-solicit some attendance.
Okay, or at least an email list
Participation.
or notes afterwards.
Right,
And Dan would be interested.
and we are,
And Dan's,
yeah, and also just going forward, so you know, we've switched into the city enterprise account, so we're not just being recorded, but we're getting an AI transcript
wow,
of the meeting. So we
okay.
could be providing that to people, but it's hard to read.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Moving on to a funding request, I think this will be great. Are you
Right.
ready to move on?
So
to
you have
this
your,
is-
yeah,
please.
You have your numbers, right?
Yes, for the idea is to use some of our UNNC budget to make sure that when we provide dinner for anybody that comes to the board meeting, that we use compostable plates, forks, knives, napkins, and cups. And I have always admired how Target has carried compostable items or 100% recycled paper items. And so I'd like to go to Target because it's local, because it's not Amazon, and it has the best price for what we get.
So what are you proposing?
A 9-inch round compostable plate, a group of 400 that sell for $93.
Okay,
Compostable forks that are 288 count for $44.50. Same with compostable spoons.
I'm sorry, how many of the 9-inch round plates?
400. Takes us over and above what we would use in 1 year.
Okay,
So spoons and forks, which is 288, would be $44.50
for forks and then a separate item for spoons.
for spoons, and then compostable cups, 16-ounce cups, so it's like big solo cup, 200 count, for $81. No, I'm sorry. Is that 400?
I don't know.
No, it's 200, okay, for 80, it rounds out to 80, 20 cents a piece.
But $81.
Yeah.
What does
So,
compostable mean, Elizabeth? I mean, where can it be disposed of?
I would say in the Los Angeles green bin,
right,
because that's industrial compost.
so
Oh,
in our meeting room for the governing board, there are specific bins for compostable.
Nice.
So whatever they're,
That was my next hill to climb.
Yeah,
Was to make sure
they're-
that we had that.
right, we do.
Fantastic. And then the other hill will be to make sure people use it, because getting people to put things in the right place, their habits, is a big deal.
Right, well, I would suggest 288 spoons seems to be the right number, but probably double that on the
On the
forks.
forks, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
all right, times 2, that equals 89. But when I'm adding up, it's
Total.
right, what's this that total? Later. It's
So 119, 89, 45.
so what do you come out to?
8 plus 27, not 10, 20, 32. I come up with 427.
And I don't, so what am I missing? I come up with 307.
119, 93, 89, 45.
Where's the 119?
For the, oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I counted up the 10-inch round plates. No, so take that out. Oh, you are
Plus 250 plus 81 plus,
so I now have 308.
right, well, it's 308 plus 31. Has a tax.
Plus tax, okay.
One is 339, and then you're saying local Target, but it's really Target.com.
Yeah, you order it online and they deliver it to you.
Is the delivery free?
Yes, it's it.
So this is not that much money, $340.
Yeah.
So do we want to ask for funding requests of up to $500? Up to
Okay,
400?
yes, because we didn't get napkins.
Which we may not really need. I mean, napkins are compostable pretty
Right,
much,
right.
right? And cheap at Smart Final.
Yeah.
So, well, it's basically 339, but we'll bring it to executive and just say, ask them, do we want to do it? Say 500
or up to 500, yeah. If it's not, yeah, and it's, will all be used on compostable things. And ideally, if we get these things and people say, well, I could bring a fork.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
so-
then we've changed
So,
the word.
Right, but, and do you happen to have, a picture of what does 400 9-inch round plates look like? Is that like this high?
No, it is 12 containers of 24 each. So it's packaged as separate. 12 little.
Oh,
split-
and that's like perfect, so it's 24
That's right.
per meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just thinking about storage, but I don't think about storage at the moment.
Okay, right.
Because we do have, unfortunately, extremely expensive storage, we have, that might be a discussion we're gonna have to make an alternative storage, but at the moment, that's not the issue. Okay, so, we need a motion, it's a little pro forma, but I move to forward this funding request to the executive committee and governing board for up, at the moment, up to $500 to make a purchase in June with using credit card.
I'm on the moon.
Yeah.
I think Christie's got a
Second, I second the motion.
All in favor? I'm sure we are all in favor.
All in favor?
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
nice. That's the best thing I've ever done.
Well, let's just have to house and go down the governing board. But let me just say, part of the budget, what we didn't discuss is she's slashing the neighborhood council budgets from 30 to 25,000. And what's for next year, and her budget had seemingly indicated that, on the other hand, that all neighborhood councils could roll over their unspent funds. Right now, in the municipal code, we can roll over 10,000. So, we have approximately 10,000 to spend, but because we didn't have quorum, we have about $7,000 pending funding. For grants.
So you don't need to ask for more than 400.
Correct.
Go down, yeah.
But there seems to be a alternative proposal coming from some neighborhood council people saying, wait a minute, why don't we instead of letting the neighborhood councils roll over their money, why don't we donate it back to the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment so that they too don't lose some positions? And it's like, well, you didn't ask us. So we may be spending a lot, we may be wanting to spend a lot of money, is my point.
Oh, I see.
So that there's nothing
Okay.
left to lose.
Right.
So that's, everything's a juggle.
And we only considered the meetings.
Correct.
Now
That's what I'm saying. So we might be able, that's why we might bump it to 500 and
Maybe
buy a
we
little
have
bit more.
movies in the park,
Well, we don't have movies in the park.
but if okay. Yeah,
We-
we don't, that's true, We
Right.
fund other people, but I would like to ask those folks to use this.
Correct, but the thing is, we don't fund other people at movies in the park. But the problem with with that budget is that we won't be funding an event of any sort
Wow.
if that's our budget. Because
So we'll be passing the hat in the neighborhood.
correct. I mean, we'll be helping, we'll be, yeah. But we don't have an election this year, so we don't have candidate meet and greets. I mean, we're just gonna have to get clever about how we do outreach. So, if that's a budget that sticks, and I doubt they're gonna give us back 32,000. We're just hoping they don't take away our rollover. Okay, on the agenda also were these couple of announcements plus the round robin discussion. I want to do, if you don't mind, do the announcements quickly.
Go for it.
And then we can round robin as long as you wish. So next week, Thursday, May 15th, for those people who don't have jobs to go to from 8 AM to 1:30 PM. This is a great, actually, the annual Lonnie Community Forum is one of the best. I mean, truly best half days people can spend. I used to go when I didn't work so hard to them pretty regularly. This is 20th year, 30th year. I mean, it's been around a long time. But it's a great way to meet people, and they are going to talk about walkable, green, safe neighborhoods, as well as preparing to host the Olympics. So, if you check out the agenda, you can.
I like
Pass it
their
on to
topics.
friends.
I like
Yeah.
their topics, like activating alleys
yeah.
for climate change,
Right.
sustainable design. That's neat.
And the event is free. It's just that if you have a job, a job to go to.
Yeah,
you
I
have to
might
get-
be on jury duty too. I'm currently in voir dire about being on a jury. I mean, I'm
Well,
not trying the case as a lawyer. I'm a
I
juror.
understand. Yes, and
A
usually they like,
potential juror.
and they like lawyers to be, no, they like lawyers. to
They
be-
like them, unfortunately.
jury
I'm going to make
duty.
myself very unlikable, but I may
And
or may not
then-
get on.
Okay, and then there's a few spaces left, from my understanding, for home electrification rebates. In Southern California only. Northern California is in effect sold out. So if you know anybody who's thinking about redoing their homes entirely for electric, there's some there's an opportunity. So I think it's
What
less
is
of a
that
fun-
company? What is the
It's
agency?
I don't know. Hira.
Income portal.
Yeah, I don't know. Hira. I don't actually know.
But you have to, it's income verification applications.
I'll
Right.
look it up. Oh, well, probably not. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is with these kind of programs is you have to be low enough income to qualify, but then you can't afford it.
At
I
all.
mean, at all.
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to do a round robin discussion on current issues that are different than the ones we've already discussed in sustainability and climate change, including planning a few upcoming agendas. And it is 3 minutes to 8, so however long you wish.
So one thing we, some other people do and that I haven't had part of as my tradition is to look ahead at the whole year. And think what events or what contributions across the year might this committee like to do? Like at the last Cyclovia, could we have invited all UNNC members to don t-shirts and caps, or not caps, but t-shirts, and ride as a group at Cyclovia? We
As
have,
opposed to just personing a tape.
which were 3 or 4 people at a time. So yeah, to have a gathering of that sort.
Well, and that's interesting because that specific example is interesting because some while ago, when there was a cyclovia on Western that then hooked up to King, so not the one we went to on Martin Luther King, it was a different one earlier. There in fact was a group of UNNC people who rode their bikes.
Nice,
For
all right,
wearing their UNNC t-shirts.
okay,
So
Okay.
that is an interesting idea.
okay.
That this committee could, the next time there's a cyclovia here, not wait till the last minute to implement.
Yeah.
And one of the things we are gonna also put in our funding for June is t-shirts for the new,
Oh, great.
but if somebody will work on.
Marco was appreciating the hat that I have from 6 years ago, because it has a little tree on it. It's
Oh,
got a
right, the
tree.
old logo,
Yeah,
right?
no, and he liked it a lot. I
Right.
did too.
So, well, we probably aren't gonna create, yeah, that's interesting.
So like, would anybody have an appetite for say like a fall sustainability and planting fair,
Well, let me just say it this way.
like in the park?
Well, there is an event
Okay.
that isn't our event, but will have some role in it. That Teresa's involved with, we're greening up. She's very involved in KYCC and another entity in Hancock Park, but greening up the 6th Avenue Elementary School. There'll be fruit tree giveaways and things like that. So it's not fully planned out. 6th Avenue Elementary is at Jefferson and 6th Ave. between 6 and 7.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's like a sea of concrete.
Yes, it is. Oh, fantastic.
It's
When is
like,
that?
it's like what? Say it again.
Sea of concrete.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
There's no green
Yeah.
there at all.
I see.
So it's
Yeah.
gonna be October or November.
Great.
So it's not a sustainability fair,
Uh-huh.
but one would hope that it's not just a tree committee
Yes.
fair, that one would hope that
Yes.
UNNC could have a larger presence, including the environment,
Mm.
you know, and then similarly, you know, the music under the, I mean, we're gonna have to piggyback on other people's events because of budget.
Uh-huh.
So, there is the thing that Christy and I love and you don't like so much, the music under the star, jazz under the
Jazz,
stars.
yeah.
Labor Day weekend, but UNC has a table. So I don't see any real reason why one of the 3 nights can't be
We
environmental
fund it.
committee.
UNNC funds it, right?
Why not this year?
So they're gonna have to get funding for it soon.
Well, UNC doesn't do much funding, but I mean, I have no real crystal ball. What we've done in the recent past, we UNNC has, we're a vendor, so we purchase, the way we can give money for that event is as a vendor.
I
So,
guess, no, I'm just thinking, can we help by buying them compostable plates?
well, who's the them, because all of
They're
them,
all their vendors. So that they use clean, fresh, new compostable plates at all the
Yeah.
barbecue places.
I feel like they're private vendors.
Yeah, that may be a problem.
But we could put it on the table and say it's important to us, and that could we ask them?
But we're not okay, we don't organize that event. UNSC is not involved.
UNSC can represent a value that we articulate in words.
Right, I understand, I'm trying to explain to you that UNNC itself has zero. We're just one vendor
I
like
understand
everyone
that.
else.
You have influence.
No,
You have
the,
relationship.
Laura had influence because West Adams Heritage is a partner in the event. And we provide the
Oh.
insurance, and we provide money, so
Mhm.
I wear 2 hats. I'm very, the UNNC involvement is getting lesser and lesser and lesser, because there is a whole committee. It does not involve UNNC people. I mean, that's what I'm trying
So
to
there's
tell
no
you.
leverage. Okay.
There's very little leverage and probably less
Mm.
this year, because I don't think we'll have the $1,500 we've had the last couple of years. But and there's gonna be, you know, people who don't want to hear what
Right.
this is.
Yeah.
So maybe a better option is to see if one of the 3 days that UNSC has its booth, because they'll give us a booth whether or not we have provided the
Okay.
same amount of money.
Okay.
Could we declare one of those days environmental day
Okay.
and make sure this committee, and, you know,
Mhm.
even though, you know, I'm gonna be doing, but
Yeah.
this committee, you know, that's the day we're giving out our message.
Okay.
And have samples of compostable things and, you know, so I mean, maybe instead of using hammer,
You're absolutely right. I came out hammery.
but I don't, I mean, you know, this is as much a food festival as it is, I mean, you're not
Yeah,
wrong.
right.
I mean, and then also what we might be able to do is see if we can convince the organizers and CD10
Mhm.
to make sure we have compostable, disposable
Mhm.
garbage boxes. Not that we're paying for it, but
Mhm.
right, you know,
The green bins.
usually at this
Mhm.
event,
Mhm.
we're just throwing trash into black and green
Black.
trash
basically.
cans, but there's not anything labeled compostable.
Right.
So,
right.
so even if somebody wants to take what they know to be compostable and throw it into something,
Mhm.
there's nothing to throw it into.
Right.
So that could be something that we could advocate with the city, because the city does co-sponsor this, to please provide.
Okay.
So that could be something where we're delicately walking and not
I know.
pissing off
It's
the
it's-
people who are
I don't-
hard.
yeah, I
That
don't trust
doesn't sound
the-
like a lot of money to
Well, it wouldn't
ask
even
the
be our
city
money.
to, but to
Wouldn't be
ask
our
the
money at
city
all.
to do, you know,
Yeah.
to provide bins like that, or, you know.
Right, because they're cardboard bins with some sort of,
I'm.
so,
And it's funny.
but I have a question.
Go ahead.
The bags that you throw with garbage bags that you throw your compostables in, are those bags compostable, or does somebody still have to empty it into?
No. I'm sure they're
It's a
not.
black plastic bag, that is a black plastic bag. I mean, I don't think it's compostable. And yeah, I think somebody comes along with a box cutters and cuts it open. And Sprouts now has, it says on it, on little compostable produce bags, and they're very thin and slippery and
Yeah,
rice.
But I don't think our green bin allows those in LA.
Yeah, I'm
My
trying to,
understanding is that it does not. Other cities do, but
Right.
I believe we are not allowed to put those bags in.
Right, but I'm really thinking the cardboard
Yeah,
boxes that are
Yeah.
garbage bins, you know,
Mhm.
that you throw into,
but what are you throwing into literally inside?
well,
of these?
step
You
by
can-
step,
You
step by
can
step.
find out.
So if
Probably a
if
plastic bag.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
city of LA is gonna give us, you know, boxes with plastic, black plastic
If we
bags,
ask.
and says compost on it, and then we just do that. And then my second thought is to get, because young people often are even greener than we ever were. You know, they're very, they're not party oriented, they're action oriented, somebody told me. And so getting a young person to stand up on that stage and say, hey, everybody, you got your food, find the compost.
Well, there is an MC throughout the whole
I'm
evening.
Yeah.
just saying that there's an
Yeah.
MC who can make that happen,
Yeah.
or an MC can kill it,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah,
on how
but
you sell it.
there is an MC throughout the evening,
Okay.
and they're given things to say, because throughout each evening,
Yeah.
they cycle through, thank you to, and you know, the different
Wonderful.
things, so why not have that to it,
So
so,
so people know.
right, so, you know, have to ask going on, but, well.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
see that why should that be a problem? Because there's
Not
a
a
lot of
problem.
trash. I'm sure there's a lot of trash, and why
there's a
shouldn't
huge
it be
amount of trash.
separated into something that can go to where our green bins go versus
Right.
elsewhere?
Makes farmers, exactly.
Right,
So that's the industrial level, you know, that's why you can put bones in it, because they
Right.
get it, they add enzymes and create an incredible.
Bones, but not compostable bags. I'm pretty sure about that. Am I wrong? I mean, I think
I
we
don't
need to
know.
check that out, because I believe that's correct. And you can't
Yeah.
put plates that have a plastic coating on it either. You can put,
Right.
you know, paper plates. You can only do, I guess, compostable plates.
right,
But-
so, I mean, it would be really nice if whichever person, see, it used to be Stacy in charge of the vendors, I don't know who's doing vendors this year, she's not.
Okay,
I mean, it'd be nice if that person would ask the vendors,
right.
but I don't even know who it
But-
is.
But the problem is they may have to lay out money to buy those, you know, different kind of plates than they have. And there may be something about, you know, certain things are not as sanitary as other things in terms of what they have in their food trucks. I don't know. I just wonder about that. You know,
So,
and they've
okay.
already purchased whatever
Right,
they
that's-
have.
Right, so UNNC doesn't have a lot of influence, but we can try, but the one thing we could ask is, you know, liaison with the Department of Sanitation and the council office for staff.
Okay, and that's October,
And
And then-
that's late, that would be
November?
Labor Day, that would
Labor
be Labor Day weekend,
September,
late August, early September, whatever Labor Day weekend is.
and then the greening up of
It's
Sixth Avenue.
October to November-ish.
Okay,
We
that's
could have a compost clown who is there by the bin, scraping off all the bones. Not
No, I
me.
have,
great.
it is kind of gross, but the other
It's
thing we'll do
kinda-
certainly do at its booth, if we plan this in advance, is have a lot of the little green pails to give away.
Yeah, we could. The pails aren't great, because you know what? I mean, to open them and close them, I'm being blocked by your computer. But there's a little lip, so you have to get in, and it's not just lift it with a finger and put your stuff in, you
Oh.
have to go like this. And I've taken it to the school where I work, and kids just, it's what, kids push it over while they're trying to open it up.
Got it.
So design. But anyway,
Okay, well, this is, I guess, what I would say.
Look at your own calendar, you Elizabeth,
okay,
because I'm there all 3 days, I'm at the West Sounds Heritage booth. I twist Christie's arm to go 1 day. I twist other friends' arms to go to that one day, but pick
Yeah,
a day and don't make it Friday, because that's a bad day, so on your own calendar, either Saturday or Sunday, or Labor Day weekend. And volunteer that you'll run the booth that day,
all right,
right?
all right.
And then we can invite some other people to person the booth.
Okay.
Maybe see if someone from LA Compost could join us at booth,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
Labor Day is Monday, the first
Right,
of
so
September.
this would be August 30, counting backwards, 31st, 30th, and 29th.
Friday the 29th, Saturday the 30th, and Sunday the 31st. So either the Saturday or Sunday, check your own, we don't have to check the second, but I'm just saying, that's something,
yeah.
that you're volunteering to organize the UNNC table that time, and we're gonna make it in our environmental day.
Okay. Not Friday,
Not, cause it's not as well attended,
okay,
not to mention harder to find volunteers.
Okay.
That's their work. So,
okay,
just say. And see if Marius will come, and see
Yeah.
if Dan might consider coming, and.
Okay.
And we'll try and get, it's still other UNNC board members, but just make the focus.
I am dying for some water, so
Okay.
I'm gonna adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
Any other comments?
No,
Good.
thank you.
No.
Thank
you
you,
so much for
folks.